Hi, my name is Adriel William, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I was able to earn a little bit above $350,000 through my first job as a general dentist over the past 1 year, right after graduating from dental school. So I graduated in 2022 from the advanced standing program from Colorado, and then I've been working in Cincinnati, Ohio over the past 1 year. And before I move forward with this video, highly, I would request you, and I would be highly encouraged if you would hit on the like button, subscribe to the channel, or comment down there. The reason I'm making this video is because people who are applying to dental schools, who are currently in dental school, or who are looking for jobs, might be able to get some strategy, some advice from me through this video. And I know there will be some friend of mine who will be saying Adriel has gone rogue again. He's putting private information on social media. He shouldn't be giving this number. And to be honest, I believe I'm the same Adriel who was earning $7 per hour in the United States. I'm the same Adriel who lost his dad when he was 22 and had to go through a lot of financial crap, and things changed for me. And I think I'm not young anymore, and I'm at a point of my life where I can share stuff, and still be able to manage myself and without being pompous or being a show off in my life. So the intent of this video is to truly share with you some of the things that I've learned over the past 1 year of journey, because it was quite an evolution for me to get accustomed to everything. So starting off with this, the first thing I'll tell you that one of the things I've learned that dentistry in US is changing a lot. It's not linear, it's not simple, it's very hard to understand how the system is working. And one of the things I'll tell you, there are people who would be earning way more than the figure I gave you as a general dentist, because they would be working in a place which is much more in a rural area. So Cincinnati, Ohio is still a big city. It's not a mega city like New York or Chicago, but it's still a big city. But if you're willing to go to a really backward rural area, you might be able to earn more. But for me, when I was applying to job, I had a little bit more of a surgical background coming from Pakistan. I was not an oral surgeon up there. I was a resident in oral surgery, and it gave me a little bit basic understanding of management of surgical procedures. And when I was applying for jobs in the United States, there was this offer letter coming from Cincinnati, Ohio, who was looking for a person who can run a practice which is heavily busy with surgical procedures. And so I just opted for it. And one of the things I've learned over time was the first couple of months were very difficult for me, because there was a huge volume of patients that I had to see. And I'll tell you one thing, that there are two ways to earn a lot of money in dentistry. Number one is that you learn to do big procedures like full mouth rehabilitations. You learn to do all on 4, all on X. You learn to do cosmetic dentistry, aesthetic dentistry. Those are big procedures that can pay you a lot of money. If you can't do that, the other way is you do bread and butter dentistry, but you do it in a very high volume. You see a large number of patients and you do it more, and that will pay you a lot of money as well. So that's the other way. In my case, I was working in a practice which was doing a lot of surgical stuff, full mouth extractions, alveoloplasties, toric removals, implant overdentures, those kind of things, but with a very high volume. And when I talk to my colleagues or my friends after 3 months, I got to realize most of them see about 14 to 15 patients a day, while on the other hand, I was seeing about 35 to 40 patients a day. And my neck, I could feel the difference in the first few months, that my neck was changing. I could feel that it was fatigue, and never in my life I felt this physical fatigue in the similar manner. I thought at first it was just aging, but Then I realized that over the past years, because I've developed my macro muscles like through lifting, my bigger muscles are much more developed now. My micro muscles have to develop in dentistry. So if you're somebody who's starting to work in dentistry, running a couple of different columns, and I never worked as a dental assistant in US, not as an AFDA hygienist ever in United States. So I've been running multiple columns and doing all of this. I had to develop these smaller muscles because dentistry is microsurgery. You're doing very microsurgery, you're wearing loops and you're keeping your neck like this all the time. And there are very small muscles that get fatigued. And one of the things I've learned that in order to do better dentistry, you have to take care of your body very carefully. And one of the things I started researching in was reading sports psychology. How do sportsmen at the age of 40 are able to take care of themselves that they work like a 20 years old? And at that time, I got to learn that there is recovery of muscles, but then there is also recovery of nervous system. So our muscles recover, but our nervous system also has to recover separately. And in order to do that, getting good sleep is a very important thing. And for me personally, going to sauna, some days I won't lift weight, I won't do exercise. I would just go in and I would sit in sauna, sweat, and that would really help me. Finding a good chiropractor or a physiotherapist is a very important thing. The earlier you can do it, the better it is. The other thing I'll tell you is that if you want to make a good amount of money in dentistry, yes, you need to be good with your dental skill and you need to know how to do procedures. You need to have really good patient communication, but you also should have a very good system. Practices or doctors who make a lot of money, on average, most dentists who graduate earn around 170 to 220 to 40. And then the tier 2 people are people who earn from 250 to 350, 400. And then there are the tier 3 people who are big practice owners who earn 500,000 to a million or 2 million a month. These are very big practices being run in New York and California and all of these places. So one thing that I'll tell you is that all these people who are doing really good in their dental jobs have figured out how to work in a good manner with their office manager, because being good dentist is one thing, but if you want to run a successful practice, your office manager is the key thing. Your office need to have a very good office manager who knows how to manage patient, knows how to run the schedule, and who knows how to deal with insurances. If you have a good office manager and you're able to negotiate with them and find the right way or the speed to work, you can eventually make good money and provide your patient good care. For me, one of the things that kind of helped was in the start, whenever you go to a new place, when you graduate from a school, you're going to be treated as a newbie. You're going to be treated as somebody fresh off the boat, and you're going to be overburdened. People will throw a lot of work at you. And one of the things I'll suggest you is that if you want to perform good in your job, the number one thing you have to do is take care of your mental state. You have to be in a good mental state, because your mental state will dictate your story. Every day you wake up, you tell yourself a story of your day, of your life, of what kind of a person you are. If your state is good, your story will be good. So that's the number one thing. The other thing I tell people is that if you want to gain respect, if you want to gain a little bit of significance at your work, you need to render more service than you're being paid for. And I'm not saying be naive and get manipulated at your new job. Be smart, keep your eyes open, but wherever you have the autonomy, render more service to your staff, to your patients than you're being paid for. That's one way to gain respect at your workplace. The other thing I'll tell you about dentistry is that, yes, you need to have a very solid team who understand dentistry, who understand the business side, but along with that, You also want to make sure that you don't spend too much money in things that doesn't make sense, because as dentists, when we are working, it's a lot of stress. You're working all the time. Now you're making money, and then out of frustration, you start buying things. And that happens with all of us. Most of dentists end up buying cars, things like that. I wouldn't suggest this to anybody else. I personally bought a house. The reason I did it because when I was going through dental school, my father didn't buy a house for himself or the family. He paid off my private dental school fee back in Pakistan. And in my last year, final year of school, he passed away and he was never able to buy a house for himself. Later on, my family bought a house from on the money he had saved, but he was never able to do it. And I personally felt it was a promise that I made to myself, and I wanted to get a house in a similar environment, in a similar landscape, or a similar spot that I grew up with. So whatever I could have find the closest, this was kind of like an emotional decision that I wanted to take. I just took it. It it's it was a promise to my inner child. But if you're gonna make some decision like this, I would so just be very careful, because if you're going to be adding more loan on yourself, then you might get married to a bad job and you're stuck in there. So be very careful. I'll tell you in dentistry is that in the United States, if you want to earn more money and you want to do it faster, you can actually go and work in a rural areas. If you want to go to a remote area and work there, you might be able to get higher pay with less work. In a bigger city, there are more dentists who want to work there. There's more competition, so it's more difficult comparatively to make more money as a fresh graduate. The other thing I'll suggest, which I learned, was that if you're making money, try to save it and then research for good good courses that you have interest in. If you like to do endodontics, if you like to do implants, if you like to do surgeries, look for those courses, if whether it's aesthetic dentistry, and then do those. I personally will tell you that I found out that in Alabama, there's a place called the Dental Foundry. They have one of the best implants courses. They have one of the best ATD program that teaches you implants and surgeries. So that's a very good place. I would highly encourage you to look into. The thing I'll tell you is that a couple of people ask me about work-life balance and all of that. Well, we believe that dentists have a good work-life balance, or used to have that. Well, as a fresh graduate, I don't believe you're going to have that, because you're going to be working approximately 5 days a week. I highly suggest that dentistry is very taxing physically, emotionally, mentally. So if you can just work 4 days a week, that's the most optimum thing to do. And what I've learned over time from people is that if you're going to go and work, you want to have it super busy. So you want to go in there and should have patience, and you should be working very hard. But you should only work a limited number of days over the week. That's one of the things I've learned from senior dentists. You don't want to go in a place where you're sitting idle, you're not doing anything, and it doesn't make sense. Why did you come to the practice in the first place? The second thing I'll tell you that for somebody like me, there's never been work-life balance, because if I'm not working in dentistry, I would be working on my social media project, or I would be in the sauna or exercise or sleep. That's pretty much what I like to do, and that's how most of my life been around. But I would suggest, if you can find a little bit more balance, try to do that. But as a fresh graduate, it's very hard, because you're trying to adapt to a lot of new things. One other thing somebody told me, and these are very successful people, they said, if you want to be successful in US, there are two states of mind. One is that you would wake up and you would go in and work. Like you would work, you will be hyper-focused and hyper-productive. And if you're not in that state, the second state would be relaxing. If you're not doing that, you're recovering, you're relaxing, you're trying to heal yourself or recover for the next day. There's no third option. Either if you're working, go all in. If you're not working, then you should be relaxing your body and your brain. And I believe that's a right way to look at it. If you think you're going to be highly productive, you're going to be working a lot, go in, work that. And when you're not, you should be relaxing. And taking care of your mental health is one of the most important things. And I highly suggest that if you think you want to go this route where you want to make a lot of money, you want to work hard, taking care of your neck, taking care of your body, your mental state is very, very important, because any underlying issue will rise up when you're working so hectically. Second thing I'll say, and I'm planning to do this, is that over time, if you think like you're earning money to the point where you can save a little bit, is that you buy your time back and you learn new skills, you learn bigger things, you be smart in your life rather than working aggressively physically, because your physical capacity, whatever it is, in 30 won't be the same in 40. So you want to be smarter. You want to learn bigger procedures, that you just do few procedures every week and you call it a week. So you don't have to work so much longer hours. The other thing is investing. So if you're earning money, you want to start investing, start paying off your loan, start building some portfolio for yourself so you have investment. Because to be honest, as a dentist, we should be very humble. All it takes to kill our career is just one factor finger. So if you injure yourself physically or something even happens to your hand, God forbid, all your career will stop. So you have to invest wisely and you have to plan carefully. And I hope this video helped you. I would be grateful if you like the video, if you write in the comment whatever questions you have. If you didn't like something or you like my content, kindly mention in the comment box, and hopefully I'll see you in a more meaningful video. All the best.